My 18th birthday was meant to be a celebration. At least that's what I thought when the village gathered in the town hall, its rafters heavy with lantern light and garlands woven from dried herbs. Everyone smiled, everyone sang. The air reeked of roasted meat, incense, and something sharp beneath it, something metallic. My parents sat me at the long table's head. They held my hands tightly, too tightly. When the songs ended and the laughter faded, my father rose. His voice trembled as he spoke. Tonight, our son becomes a man. Tonight, he must learn the truth. The hall fell silent. Every pair of eyes turned to me, wide, eager, expectant. My mother leaned in, her grip burning my wrist.
You belong to the Covenant,
she whispered.
As we all do, and now you must serve.
I laughed nervously, waiting for the punchline, but no one laughed with me. Father's face was ashen. If you refuse, then you will be given as offering. The Covenant feeds, or it takes. The air seemed to drain from the room. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. What are you talking about? I asked. What rituals? They showed me. That night, they led me to the chapel at the edge of the fields. Its windows were covered with thick cloth, its spire snapped in half decades ago. Inside the air was thick with smoke. Villagers knelt in rows, their heads bowed, chanting low, guttural syllables that scraped the throat just to hear. At the altar, a figure lay spread-eagled, bound with hemp rope, naked, trembling. Their mouth was gagged, their eyes swollen with tears. Above them stood the elder, robes of crimson, his hands slick with dark blood. I stumbled back. My father's hand clamped my shoulder, holding me in place. "Watch!" he hissed. The elder lifted a blade shaped like a sickle, its surface engraved with symbols that seemed to writhe in the lantern glow. The chanting rose, louder, faster. With a swift movement, he slashed the figure's chest. Blood poured down the altar, dripping into a stone basin below. The gagged figure convulsed, a muffled scream rattling the rafters. The elder dipped his fingers into the blood and painted a symbol across his own brow. Then he turned toward the crowd, who moaned in unison, swaying as if drunk. I wanted to run. I wanted to scream. But everywhere I looked, villagers blocked the exits, their faces slack with devotion. And then I realized, this was not new. This was tradition. This was what my parents had hidden from me my whole life. When the ritual ended, the body on the altar was lifeless, its chest carved with the same writhing marks. The elder's voice echoed in the silence. Next month, our new son will join us in devotion. My blood ran cold. He meant me. Back in our home, I confronted my parents. My voice cracked with rage and fear. You knew? All these years? My mother's eyes brimmed with tears.
We protected you,
she whispered.
Until now.
My father's jaw tightened. It is better to kneel willingly than to be dragged. That night, I stared at the ceiling, counting the cracks in the plaster, listening for footsteps. The faces of the villagers haunted me, their hungry eyes, their trembling mouths. I wondered how many had refused before, how many had been given unwillingly. The next morning, the elder came to me. He stood in the doorway, his crimson robes still faintly stained. It is not death we give them, he said softly. It is eternity. I slammed the door in his face. But it doesn't matter. I can feel it in the way the villagers look at me now, the way my parents hover, whispering prayers under their breath. They will not let me refuse. I tried to run once, but the fields stretched on forever, the horizon never closer, no matter how far I walked. I swear the land folded in on itself, bringing me back to the chapel's shadow. The Covenant does not release its children. Tonight, the torches gather again. The chants drift through the streets. My parents stand outside my door, their faces lit with a feverish glow. I know what awaits me in the chapel. The altar, the blade, the basin waiting for my blood. And I don't know if I will kneel or fight. All I know is that the Covenant feeds, and if I do not give myself, they will take me anyway. I was born in the Order of the Shining Veil, a community that believed flesh was tainted, and the world outside our walls was nothing but corruption. From my first breath, I was taught that contact was blasphemy, that even the slightest brush of skin could summon wrath from the Radiant One. Parents held me by the sleeve. Teachers guided me with rods, never hands. Love existed in distance. Faith existed in isolation. By my 16th year, I understood the rules perfectly. I could speak, kneel, bow, and chant, but never touch. Every day we gathered beneath the hollow spires of the Citadel of Purity. The walls glowed faintly, feeding on our devotion, amplifying the hum of our voices in prayer. Touching another was the gravest sin, punishable by the trial of cleansing. It began innocently. I had heard whispers of the outside, a world where bodies met freely, where warmth was not heresy, but blessing. It haunted my dreams. Hands intertwined, faces close, laughter rolling without fear. I would wake sweating, clutching the edge of my mat, my fingers trembling with forbidden desire. Then came Celis. She was a shadow in the corridors, eyes sharp, posture exact, yet somehow alive in a way none of us were allowed to be. One evening, when the Citadel's bells echoed through the sky towers, I reached for her, just to see what it would feel like. Her hand brushed mine. A spark raced through me hotter than anything I had known. I felt blood in my veins, a pulse I thought the Order had starved out of us. She recoiled, whispering a prayer under her breath. I knew then that the elders would see, would know. I tried to hide it. I whispered more fervently in my prayers. I recited the litanies of obedience until my tongue burned, but nothing could erase the heat lingering in my palm, the memory of her touch. The elders came that night. They did not knock. Their eyes glowed faintly in the darkness, reflecting the bioluminescent lines etched into their robes. Their voices were like iron scraping stone. You have defiled the sanctity of flesh. You have welcomed the taint of the outside. You will be purified. I was dragged to the chamber of reflection, a room where mirrors did not show your image but your sins. The walls shimmered with holy light, and as I stepped inside, my own face vanished from the glass. Instead, I saw a writhing, distorted form, skin fused and cracked, eyes hollow. The elders circled me, chanting, their robes brushing my shoulders without hands, a contact more invasive than any touch could ever be. The trial began. My body was strapped to the pillar of purity. They poured oil that burned like acid, but it was not the fire that terrified me. It was the voices. All around me, the Order whispered, reciting the names of those who had failed before me. Mothers, fathers, children, names I had never heard, yet their agony pressed into my mind. And then the ritual of the Radiant One. They pressed a crystal against my chest, a prism that refracted light into my eyes and mind. I saw the outside, not as wonder, but as a nightmare. Flesh entwined, corrupted, writhing. I saw every act of desire punished, every kiss inverted into torment. And above it all, a figure of blinding light with eyes like fire, its hands reaching endlessly, demanding obedience, demanding purity, demanding everything. I screamed, but sound had been stripped from me. My limbs convulsed as visions pressed into my mind, and I understood. Freedom was impossible. Even thought of escape, even imagining touch, brought me to the brink of dissolution. I survived the trial, but I don't know how. My body is scarred, my spirit hollowed. They allow me to walk among them now, a living warning. I kneel, I pray, I obey, but at night, when the bioluminescent glow fades, I see her in the shadows, her eyes accusing me, her hand reaching. I want to break free. I want to touch. But I know now that the Radiant One sees all. And if I do, I will not simply be punished. I will cease to exist, erased as if I'd never breathed, never dreamed, never desired. I am alive, but I am not free. I'd always thought myself a man of faith, though a quiet one. Church on Sundays, prayers whispered when life pressed too hard. I never expected my belief, or lack thereof, to matter much beyond those moments. But abroad, faith can be a language, a shield, and, in my case, a curse. I'd signed on for a semester overseas, chasing a sense of adventure I'd never had at home. The program was small, just 6 of us scattered across an old town stitched together by cobblestone streets and spires that scraped the heavens. My roommate was Jacob, a fellow traveler from Ohio. Loud, friendly, the kind of man who made strangers laugh within minutes. For weeks, everything felt normal. Classes in the mornings, wandering the crooked alleys in the afternoons, nights in dim cafes where smoke curled toward cracked ceilings. The locals were polite, though distant. Their eyes lingered always a second too long. It was Jacob who first noticed the church. A monolith of black stone sat on the edge of town, its spire crooked like a finger beckoning skyward. No one ever entered or left yet, candles always burned in the windows. Jacob insisted we go. "What's the point of studying abroad if you don't dive into the culture?" he said, grinning. We went one evening just before dusk. The doors stood open, though the interior was unlit. The air smelled of iron and damp stone. Faded paintings lined the walls, saints with eyes scratched out, angels with wings torn. My skin prickled. "Creepy, huh?" Jacob whispered, but his voice carried, echoing unnaturally. We left quickly, but not quickly enough. I noticed robed figures in the shadows, heads bowed, lips moving in silent chant. Their eyes followed us as we stepped back into the night. After that, things changed. Jacob grew restless. He spoke of dreams, figures surrounding his bed, chanting in languages he couldn't understand. He said he woke with the taste of ash in his mouth. His laughter grew hollow. His eyes sunk deep into their sockets. One night, he shook me awake. "They want me," he whispered. His voice cracked. "I think they've always wanted me." I told him he was imagining things, but fear clawed at my chest. I'd begun hearing the same whispers, faint at first, then louder, until they followed me through the streets. The townsfolk stopped meeting my eyes entirely. A week later, Jacob vanished. His bed was empty, sheets tangled as if he'd left in a hurry. His passport, his bag, his wallet, all still there. Only the window stood open, curtains fluttering in the night air. I searched for him, desperate, until I saw them. Down by the church, torches burned. A procession of robed figures moved silently toward the courtyard, their steps synchronized. And in their midst, dragged along by chains, was Jacob. His eyes met mine, wide, terrified. His mouth moved, but no sound reached me. I should have called for help, but I followed, silent until I reached the courtyard. I hid behind a pillar, breath shallow, watching as they circled him. They chanted in a guttural tongue, words grinding against the air. One figure raised a book bound in cracked leather, its pages yellowed and stiff. Another lifted a blade that caught the torchlight like fire. Jacob screamed then, the sound ripping through the night, but the chant swallowed it. They pressed him to the ground, arms spread wide, his body trembling against the stone. The blade hovered above his chest, and then it happened. They did not cut him. They carved symbols around him, deep into the stone, their bloodied hands smearing the shapes with ash and oil. Jacob's body arched, every muscle straining, his mouth gaping in a scream so raw I thought his throat would tear. His skin blistered, peeled, reformed in patterns I could not comprehend. His eyes rolled white. The chant rose, a deafening roar, until the very air seemed to split, and Jacob, my roommate, my friend, was gone. Not dead, not alive, just gone. His body folded in on itself, swallowed by shadows that seeped from the stone until only the chains remained. I staggered back, bile rising in my throat. One of the robed figures turned. His hood slipped, and I saw his face, hollow eyes, mouth sewn shut, yet I swear he smiled. I ran. Through the alleys, through the empty streets, until I collapsed in my room. But even here, I hear them. The whispers, the chant. Sometimes I see Jacob's shape in the corner of my vision, his mouth open in silent scream. I wrote to the program director. No reply. I called home. Static. My passport is gone. The door to my room is locked from the outside. And tonight, I see torches flickering through the window. They are coming. And the whispers tell me I am next.